I might... Oh, the Trilby. Gotta have that Trilby, man. You guys ready for the Trilby? We're back in action with the Trilby. Oh, V's favorite shirt. Get out of here. It's Trilby time, motherfuckers. Oh, no, it's not. I'm not level 2 yet. I'm not enough of a kind, gentle sir yet to wear the Trilby. You know, I've been thinking about the time I worked at the studio a lot lately, and that just made me think of this one dude. There were two different Chinese food guys. Well, I mean, there were several. Like, half of what we did at work back then was just like the highlight of any day at that studio was just ordering food. So yeah, when I used to work at the rehearsal studio, it was this place in Long Island City, Queens, Roxy Studios. Been there since the 70s, maybe even the 60s. It was around there a long time. It's not there anymore. Now it's Otter House Studios in Queens, which actually the current owner is mad nice too. His name's Andrew. I'll go there sometimes. But when I worked at Roxy, I remember there was like this Chinese food guy. Like, he was like the original Chinese food guy would come up, and he would be like mad hyped. I'd be like, "Happy to see you," and like, so he was saying, "Happy to see you," but for years, everyone thought he was saying "Happy Studio" because he's in the studio, and it just the way it came out, like it sounded like he was going "Happy Studio." So it's even like written in the back there. But then after the Happy Studio guy, there was a different place. I think it was the Chinese Mexican place. There's a lot of Chinese Mexican places. I think it's like mostly in Queens, where like there'll be places that they'll either be like Mexican food places that are run by Chinese. Yeah, there'll be Mexican food places that are run by Chinese people, or they'll have both Chinese food and Mexican food. I think that's mostly in like Queens, New York, but I think it's all over New York in general. But I think of it as mostly a Queens thing. Actually, it was mad fucking good. Speaking of like the quesadillas and noodles, Sid, they would have like this ground chorizo, and what I would do is I would get the ground chorizo and then put it on like, the Chinese food. Like, I would get like lo mein and put ground chorizo on the fucking lo mein. That shit was, dude, beast. But then eventually they changed it to sliced chorizo, and it wasn't as good. But the first time we ordered from that place, it's me and my coworker Mo. Actually, if any of you guys know the band Circuit of Suns, he's the vocalist for that band. Well, we worked together at the studio at that time. So we're working, and we order the Chinese Mexican place. Delivery guy shows up, and he takes a look at me, and he's like, I'll let this conversation pass. So the Chinese Mexican food guy comes, and he looks at me. He's like, "You Chinese?" And I'm like, "No, I'm Korean." And then he just fucking ignores me. The guy does like a 90-degree turn, like a Resident Evil character. It looks like Mo, like the black guy Mo, and he's like, "Oh," and it just like ignores me. I guess I'm not Chinese, so I guess like to him, like it's, I mean, he wasn't a dick about it afterwards, but it was just mad fucking funny. "You Chinese?" And then I'm like, "No, I'm not Chinese." And he angles away from me, and just, I guess he rates like, I guess like that guy like rated like black above Korean in his like racial hierarchy. But then there was like a deli guy that was a Korean deli, and he was the deli guy was like, asked me if I'm Korean.
Gonna have a word with this super. Oh yeah.
And then he found out I was Korean. And well, he was like, he could tell I was mixed, so he was like, "Oh, is your mother Korean or is your father Korean?" So then I'm like, "Oh, my father's Korean." And he was like, "Oh, so then you full Korean." And he just starts giving me free shit every time I'm in the deli. So it can go either way. A lot of times what would happen is it was a rehearsal spot. So you would get like 5 different bands at the same time. And sometimes they would actually play the same song. Like that Metallica, the Metallica video I put where it's like how to annoy a Metallica fan. How to annoy a Metallica fan. I just like played the Master of Puppets thing a half step away from each other to make it like extra dissonant. I would hear it like that at the studio sometimes. And then once I, like, realized, like, that was the thing, I would, like, every fucking practice, I would just, like, you know, do that shit. Like, if someone was to go to play that, and then just, like, play it fucking wrong. Because every guitar player knows that shit. Oh, wait, I can wear my... I'm level 2, I can wear my fedora now. Excuse me, my trilby. It's trilby time, motherfuckers. You guys ready? And... Milady. It's not even the Milady trilby. This is like, I'm about to play some fucking ska. Somebody give V a trumpet. In college, I had a Chinese roommate. Took him to Walmart for groceries, and he asked around for penis butter. And they got it into the lube section. Did that really happen? I don't know. I cast doubt whether or not he... Penis butter. There were 3 songs that I would always hear super fucked up at the studio. That thing from, that thing that I played on TikTok with the Metallic song. That's one of them. The other one is For Whom the Bell Tolls. With the fucking, you know, like... I would hear that played so many different wrong ways at the studio.
You get any sleep? No matter.
That one, and the riff from Raining Blood.
Caught something when I jagged into that Corpo's biomod. Neurovirus or...
Oh, it's a very tricky part, Cackle Demon, but I would hear it play all kinds of ways.
Okay, let me take you.
For Whom the Bell Tolls was like a very common one, though. I remember one time I was at work and there were literally 3 bands playing it incorrectly at the same time. Look in the mirror. I mean, oh, does the trilby glitch still happen? It doesn't. Now I can be cool in the mirror.